All right, Sky Squad, we are back in the building and we are once again chasing waterfalls. I mean, is this just the week for splashdowns? We had Kiki giving Letitia the splashdown, and now we got Brittany giving Brooke the splashdown. And when I'm talking splashdown, I'm talking splash mountain. What is in these cups? Are these big gulp cups or what? Because when these ladies are getting sprayed with this champagne, alcohol, tequila, or whatever is in these drinks, baby, they are being hosed all the way down. Okay. It was so much splash with Letitia. I felt like I just knew Kiki had took a hose to her. But tonight, I don't know. I felt like Brittany didn't throw just the cup, she threw the entire tequila bottle. Well, that I don't know because it sounds like she drunk most of that bottle. But anyway, we got to get into the episode. Now, I have been complaining about Basketball Wives in the sense that I had felt like the episodes had felt rushed and chaotic. This was probably the first episode of the season, and we're on episode 3. It was called Ice Queens. That I actually felt like they slowed down the pace a bit. And what a difference it made in the episode for me. Okay. Last week, I don't know what I gave the score. It was something below a 7, and y'all know that's difficult for me. Or at least it was a 7 or something like that. But I felt like tonight we might give it an 8.9 because I felt like it was a dramatic improvement over what we had been seeing before. And I guess what they wanted to do was maybe start the season off with a bang. And so they just threw everything in the kitchen sink in those first 2 episodes. And now I feel like we are being able to, we're allowed to take a breath in this episode. And I actually felt like it was that much better for that breath. So let's get into it. I'm gonna give this episode an 8.9 ish, maybe. Yeah, I think an 8 point. I mean, listen, anything is better than the last 2 episodes, in my opinion. Mostly because of story elements as well. Okay, so let's talk about it. All right. So uh, I'm a little frustrated. I got to tell y'all the truth. I'm a little bit frustrated. So, as I'm recording this video, I'm actually watching it right after I watched the episode. I ain't looked at the social media. I ain't looked at Nathan because I was like, let me just dive right into the review. So, as you guys know, we did an interview with Vanessa Ryder earlier. The actual interview we did on Friday, but then I edited it and I wanted to come out, today because, well, not today. That depends on when you're watching this. I wanted it to come out on Monday, right? So I was like, okay, I'm being led to believe, likely through no fault of her own, that this was all going to play out sometime in the future, okay? But a lot of it ended up playing out in this past episode. So I was kind of like, now wait a second. I and I'm sure Vanessa probably has no clue what they are going to put in the episodes because I don't know that they get screeners. So I don't know. And maybe if she did, she didn't get the screener before her conversation with me. But I felt like they wrapped this whole situation up with a nice little bow. I ain't complaining about it because, to be quite honest with you, I feel like after the chaos and calamity that we've been through over the past 2 weeks, it almost feels like we've been going with Basketball Wives for 2 months. Okay, with as much as they've been arguing online, right? So imagine my surprise when in the first scene out the gate, we get, well, not really the first scene out the gate. We're gonna get a resolution to that. But the first scene before we get there is we need a resolution to the Brittany and the Shaquille O'Neal connection. Okay. So Evelyn meets with Brittany and they recap the dinner with Vanessa. Ev says she was expecting an apology, and Brittany feels, well, it was actually a similar situation to how you came to Shawnee's defense about, me going out with Shaq. So Vanessa was just protecting her friend. Now, right here, we are getting some seeds planted for how some of the new girls will, it seems like, develop some bonds that will play out near the end of the episode, right? So, having said that, and there's also an interesting um, parallel dynamic happening with the OGs, but we'll touch on that when we get to it. So I was like, oh, well, that's a good point, Brittany. But Ev is like, well, I wasn't really being protective of Shawnee as much as I wanted to put it out on the table, clear the air because the timing seemed suspect. Okay. Brittany says that Shaquille reached out to her, but Evelyn has heard that it was the other way around. And Brittany was like, nah, player, I got the receipts. Okay. He hit me up first, allegedly. And then I asked, oh, are you in LA? Okay. Now, um, at this point, Brittany says it is nothing romantic at all, but Ev still feels like she's going to give her a chance. Now, the reason why I felt like this could have been suspicious is mostly because, as we will learn later on, Brittany has written a sort of quasi memoir, or it could be an actual memoir. I just feel like she's a little, young for a memoir, but it is what it is. But maybe you can write. I guess you can write a memoir at any age, really. To be honest with you, to be fair, but I think possibly because of her history and some of the individuals that she may have written about, that there was some possibly wonderings if this was another attempt at sort of being able to write about some level of rendezvous with Shaq, but never really mention his name for her next book. I don't know. I'm trying to understand what the ladies' thought processes might have been with regards to Brittany. Again, I don't know that much about her, but I feel like she is a very interesting cast member on this show. Actually, all three of the new ladies are very, very interesting. We could also include Clayana into that mix. Okay. So I think these new girls might be gonna, give the OGs a run for their money. All right. Now, um, they get into, Brittany wanted to host a Ponderosa to get the girls together, but Evelyn will not be there. She will be in the Miami with Shanice. So they chat a little bit about Brittany's mom guilt, in dealing with this joint custody and, how she's in LA to build her businesses and work with brands. But she's also still annoyed because she's not really getting that much support in the way of child support. And, I kind of get the feeling that they have a big sis, little sis vibe between her and Evelyn. But what I will say is, I do feel like the producers were doing a good job at leading us with breadcrumbs because they made an effort in this episode to really chronicle the issues that Brittany is facing with her ex, okay, and her baby daddy, which I also feel like could potentially be leading her down a path of maybe having a little bit too much to drink at the ice skating rink. Who knows? Who knows? We don't yet know enough about her to understand what her patterns are and what her triggers are just yet. So we're going to learn that as we go. Next, Vanessa chats with Amy. Now, I don't know if you guys happened to catch the interview that we did with Vanessa, but she did allude to the fact that we would be meeting Amy. And I wonder if this was the meeting. It really wasn't a meeting, but it was really mostly, "Oh, I'm going to talk to Amy on the telephone." So we do get to hear Amy's voice, which I'm kind of like, good. Okay, so I need to know how Amy is feeling and I need to know what the heck is going on. Now, Vanessa is, recounting to Amy the fact that Evelyn ambushed her. She felt ambushed by Evelyn and her friends. And Amy is like, well, where do y'all stand right now? And Vanessa says it was very triggering for her with the home wrecking stuff. And Amy basically says she understands how it could be triggering. But Amy says, I know you saw me in an unhealthy place, but she, Evelyn, and Carl are all in a good place. Okay. She even tells Vanessa, so be easy, Tiger. Okay. And Amy tells her to lead with her heart. Now, for me, okay, in our conversation with Vanessa, I mean, the impression that I was left with was that Amy didn't really care for Evelyn at all. And maybe she in reality does not. I don't know. But what it does sound like is that she is likely making an effort to make things okay for the sake of all the children involved. So I do think that listening to this conversation, that Vanessa, in my opinion, if Amy's not mad about it no more, I don't think she should be mad at about it anymore. And I get also wanting to have your friends back, but because it was 10 years ago for me, I did have a harder time understanding it. But I did want to allow, Vanessa the opportunity to say her piece and express what she felt. I can't argue with what she was feeling, but I do agree with something that Jaceel will say later to her is that she needs to let that go. And I do believe that she needs to let it go. And we will get to that point when we, actually discuss the two of them meeting together. All right. So Jennifer meets with Jackie. She brings her a drink that says peaceful because she is coming in the peace. So they discuss whether or not Jackie is truthfully a peaceful person. They talk about Brittany. Jackie likes her. Jen is not going to try to judge her based on what she's seen on the internet. They start chatting about Vanessa feeling ambushed, and Jen tells Jackie about Christian. Okay, that's her man, 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 her man. My man, my man, my man, my man, my man, my man, my man. Anyway, he's about to turn 30, the big 3-0, okay? And he's ready to be a husband, okay? And she feels fulfilled. Jackie wants to know if she and Jennifer are good, okay? Jennifer pretty much assures her they are, but Jackie now needs to mend fences with Brooke. Now, while I will say that I am super excited that Jackie and Jennifer were able to put this beef to bed, okay, I totally am happy about it. But I guess to me, in my mind, it seemed like it happened way quicker than I would have anticipated, given the amount of vitriol that they sort of were spewing towards each other at the end of last season. But that's also the magic of great reality TV personalities when they can have it out, hash it out, and move on. Okay. Speaking of which, we got to get into, Jackie wants to mend things with Brooke, but Brooke has her own issues that she's dealing with at the moment. Brooke goes to visit her father. We learned that she's in grief counseling, and she feels forever changed because of the loss of her daughter. Now, we learned that, her father also lost a son as well. Brooke was very young, I guess, at the time, but he apparently disappeared for some amount of time while he was grieving. So she admits to still being on an emotional roller coaster and admits that sometimes she still leads with anger. Now, if you pay attention to the episode and where this is going, you will notice the breadcrumbs that they have left for us. Brooke saying that she is oftentimes leading with anger and that she needs to learn to check herself for being angry at the world and that it's okay to be happy. And she never knows what is going to trigger her, which again probably explains the dynamic between her and Brittany as it will occur later on. All right. Brittany's dealing with her stuff. Brooke is dealing with her stuff. And the producers, I feel like, are doing a good job at leading us to this climax. All right. So anyway, Jaceel and Brittany. Did I skip over something? No, it ain't happened yet. It ain't happened yet. Jaceel and Brittany meet up for a picnic. Jaceel wants to get to know the ladies one-on-one. All right. Um, Vanessa arrives because they want to get to know her. And Jaceel basically lets her know, girl, you need to let go of this 10-year-old beef. Clayana arrives, who Jaceel actually calls Kaylani, and she's going to call her that more than once. But anyway, Kaylani slash Clayana, okay, mentions how the WNBA players still have to fly commercial. And Jaceel mentions how they also have to go play overseas for 6 months as well. Now, I wasn't sure if that was because it would maximize their income if they did play overseas. I wasn't sure about that. Brittany then tells the girls that she's a social media influencer, but she's also an authoress who wrote a memoir, but did not mention the names of the men in her book. I guess it's maybe supposed to be like one of those Corrine Steffens books. Do y'all remember Corrine Steffens? Was that her name? That was Norman. Norman, was that her name? Corrine Steffens? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think it's Kareem. So anyway, it's one of those little kind of like tell-all books where you tell all your business and who you've been with, but you don't name no names. I think it was one of those, but based on the way she talked about it. Anyway, Brittany then invites them all. Apparently, Jaceel wants Kaylani slash Clayana's help with planning an event for her bae Natasha, so that the Natasha can meet all the ladies. All right. Now, Brittany is hopeful that this ice skating rink, Ponderosa, will be as peaceful as the brunch or slash lunch that they just had together. And honestly, to me, that means that it will be anything but peaceful. Okay. So anyway, we see Brittany talking to her mom in North Carolina. Then we get a scene that is very pivotal, I think, to what we have been building up to. Vanessa and Evelyn meet for a one-on-one out in a park. I felt like in this scene, it felt like they both came in peace. I felt like, Ev says that she wishes that Vanessa had had a conversation with her one-on-one first. This goes to something that Vanessa said that I did ask about in the interview with Vanessa. And Vanessa wishes that they had had a one-on-one too. Evelyn says she doesn't feel like Vanessa's truth is her truth because Carl was feeding her allegedly a different story than what Vanessa was experiencing with her friend Amy. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and say this because, and I don't know Mr. Carl like that. I don't know the situation. What I do know is that there are oftentimes situations where I feel like, these professional, athletes and dudes will tell one girl one thing and another girl another thing. And ultimately, what it does is it unfortunately pits the women against each other. And then it just results in this huge fallout, the fallout that we're kind of almost seeing now, right? But Vanessa tells the story about apparently some woman was trying to blackmail her husband. And as a result of all of these things that were occurring, she ended up having a miscarriage. So Evelyn and her kind of bond over this because Evelyn has also suffered miscarriages, we learn. And we also learned that Carl basically did the same thing to her, allegedly, that he did to Amy, allegedly. So anyway, she and Amy have had a nice conversation, and Evelyn also apologizes and they hug it out. Thank the Lord. Now, in my mind, what I also have to wonder then is if they'd made up at that point, then why did we see so much social media angst about all these things as the episodes were airing? Was that really to like get more hype for the show? I don't really know. But what I do know is it was just odd to me knowing how much we've been through. We, the audience, have been through in following their drama on social media. Or it must be that watching the episodes have caused some residual feelings to resurface. Okay. Meanwhile, all I could say was thank the Lord. Hopefully this truce lasts. But then I remember what's going on in present day, and I'm like, probably won't. Brooke and Jennifer meet up for a shopping excursion, and Jackie joins them. Basically, it's like this, Jen wants Brooke and Jackie to talk. They talk. I feel like they have a good, honest conversation. I like this is one of the reasons why I like this episode because I felt like we were dealing with some real stuff. And the stuff with Brooke and the stuff with Jackie, I felt like is a real friendship falling out issue. Not everybody understands or knows what to do when someone passes, especially if you yourself are uncomfortable with how to deal with it. But also, too, who suffers the most, I think, when someone passes is, the person who, is Brooke. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like to a certain degree, you kind of want to put your issues to the side and just figure out a way to be there for your friend in a way that also, is comfortable for you, but you still have to show up. You know what I'm saying? And I got the feeling that for Jackie, she just didn't show up. But again, it was good that she apologized. It was good to see that they were able to move on. And we like to see conflict and resolution when we're watching these reality shows because it's like a release. You know what I'm saying? So we want the tension, we want the drama, but we want it such that it can also be resolved so we can move on to the next bit of drama. Meanwhile, it's time for the ice skating. Speaking of drama, now Brittany has never been ice skating. I'm gonna let y'all know right off the bat, I don't do ice skating. I've done it once. Will never do it again. For those of you guys who do not know, I am 6'3". Okay. So what that means is at 6'3" and 220 pounds, if I were to fall on that ice, which I have, it is a long way down. Okay. And the bigger they are on the ice, the harder they fall. Now, the other thing that I'm concerned about, this is just me. Not only does the fall happen in slow motion, so you feel like you are counting the hours as you are falling, and there's nothing you can do until you land harshly on a bed of concrete ice. Okay. Essentially, that there's nothing you can do. It's going to be painful, it's going to be cold. The other thing that in my mind I am worried about is the ice skating shoe itself. Okay, because now once you are sprawled out on the ground and your limbs are hanging out and dangling from just hanging out, what if someone were to take their ice skate and roll over your finger? Then what happens to your finger? Okay, this is some serious stuff here, and I don't understand why people continue to do it. And if you watch the episode, you will note all of the struggles that many of the ladies had, including Clayana Kilani, who fell down. And I mean, she didn't hurt herself, but I feel like Clayana is probably like 5'2". So I feel like her fall gonna be kind of short. So she ain't really experienced that much trauma like I did. You know what I'm saying? So, but shout out to you, Miss Kaylani Clayana. You handled that well. So meanwhile, Jen and Brooke, they're not gonna ice skate because they got the sense that God gave them. And so you know, the interesting thing is Brooke has decided that bees are already on thin ice. Vanessa peeps this and she's thinking, is she talking about me? Okay. So Brooke and Jennifer are really trying to figure out who Clayana slash Kiana, Kalani, who she is. Okay. Who are you? All right. But then it's time for they all finished the Ponderosa, the skating Ponderosa. Thank God, because they were all in danger. But Brittany gets a phone call from her mom. Her mom apparently had to go wait for her son for 30 minutes and then had to go pick him up at a gas station, I guess at the mutual pickup point in North Carolina. This already, I think, is angering Brittany. And what we get from Brittany next is going to be y'all. So we had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we back on the line right now. So listen, sometimes things happen when you're recording and you just got to roll with the punches. All right. The struggles of being a content creator. So now that the malfunction has ended, all right, and I hope it wasn't too big of a disturbance for y'all because we got to keep this thing moving. We have learned that Brittany, has had this issue with her mom and, picking up her son. And so I feel like this is leading Brittany down the path of, I'm going to have to drink my cares away. Okay. That's basically what I'm feeling at this point, but I could be wrong. So they reconvene outside in the little area that they can all sit down in for some tequila. Vanessa wants to address the elephant in the room, and she lets them all know that she and Evelyn are good, but that she did feel ambushed by everybody, particularly Brooke, Evelyn, and Shawnee, right? And Brooke is like, you felt ambushed? And Vanessa's like, yes, y'all three ambushed me. So Brooke ultimately says that she gets it, and she doesn't want her to feel like they're attacking her. Vanessa says it's a trigger for her, talking about her husband or her marriage. So Brooke apologizes and wants a fresh start, which I thought was, again, we get a nice little, I mean, we're moving on. We're moving through issues. I'm like, okay, now this is, we're on track right now. Okay. Even though I do feel like, Basketball Wives, as I've stated before, has often to me had this little air of like danger. Like you always felt like something was gonna pop off at any moment. And in this ice skating rink thing, I'm picking up on that kind of like pop off energy. Something about to happen. Okay. Likely also because we know we've seen it in the trailers. But anyway, to move on, um, you know, uh Britney, mind you, is knocking over drinks at this point. So I don't know if she's taking back too many tequila shots or or it's the anger mixed with the tequila, but she seemed a little rowdy. For those of you who do not know, I have often heard, and somebody could tell me if I'm wrong, but people consider like tequila like, I always heard that it like can speed up your heartbeat or something like that. Am I wrong? Has anybody else heard that? Because I feel like people be getting turned up when they drink tequila, namely me. Okay, which is why I don't drink a lot of it. So anyway, um, Jaceel wants to have, she reveals to the girls, I want y'all all to come over and meet Bay. All right, meet Bay and Kaylani down there at the end. Can you do the event planning for me? And so Jackie is like, her name is Clayani. Okay. There's a lot of discourse about the child's name. Okay. And Brooke is like, this is, that's how much we don't know you yet. We need to get to know you better. I did not feel in that moment that Brooke was being disrespectful. I didn't. I felt like what she was trying to emphasize is, hey, this is an opportunity for us to, kind of get to know who you are, right? That's what I felt like where Brooke was going with it. But Jennifer was like, yeah, I mean, you just kind of appeared. So, we didn't know whose friend you are. And that's where I was like, I mean, that was kind of where we was starting to go off the rails a little bit, which is crazy because Brooke is going to take the brunt of this while Jen later on dashes off out of the scene faster than Stormy, faster than Kyle Richards exiting the scene when drinks was being thrown and Lisa Rinna was reaching for her sister's neck. Anyway, so at this point, we didn't know who Jen is like, we didn't know whose friend you were. Brittany's like, I don't think she just kind of appeared. And you could tell like Brittany is a little like, I feel like something going on. Something is so she have a little too much tequila, a little too much Henny? I mean, what? I don't know. So anyway, Clayana tries to explain, how she met Eb, Jackie, and Shawnee, but I can understand this being a little bit of confusion, I think, for maybe the other ladies who maybe never got a proper introduction to Clayana. Because Clayana, I am undoubtedly sure she was at that Ponderosa with Shawnee. That Evelyn and Vanessa got into it, and then Brooke, finished it off with the read of the century. Okay. Now, I'm quite sure that I saw Clayana in a brief, like, shot sitting beside Miss Vanessa. So my wondering is, was she never introduced that night? Is that the reason why y'all have no idea who she is or what affiliation she has with the group? So at that point, Clayana is like, I don't need to check in with y'all. But Jackie in her confessional says she feels like Clayana has a guard up and she feels like she may feel inferior, but she doesn't need to feel that way because they're just trying to find out more about her, right? So Clayana's like, I'm a grown woman. I'm somebody in my own right. And uh, it's questionable / debatable about whether or not she needed to take that stance. But I need to see, I would have to know what the energy was giving in the room. Sometimes you can see something happening and the words don't necessarily convey if there was actually hostility in the room or not. But it did feel to a certain degree that Cleanna was extra defensive. But again, I don't think it helped when Jen said, yeah, I mean, it just kind of like you appeared. We didn't know who you was. Okay. So at that point, Brooke is like, okay, wait, now hold up. I think she's sensing that something's about to go on. So then Britney jumps in and says, yeah, I'm co-signing people coming in and standing on their own name, standing. And I mean, she's like, I mean, it's like this. You know, when people start talking like with the sneer, you know, they be like, when they start getting like that, like, you know, like this and like that, you know, somebody is like, I mean, either is liquid courage or is about to be about it. Okay. So at that point, Brooke stands up. I ain't sure why. Okay. I don't know if she needed to, you know, I don't know where she was going with that. But you know, when somebody starts standing up, that honestly, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. That then makes me feel like if I'm on the receiving end of you standing up, I might need to stand up too. Okay. Now, I don't know why if Brooke I don't know if Brooke was standing up for Britney or Cleanna slash Kalani, but then Cleanna is up. And I think it looked like she was trying to stop Britney from getting rowdy. But then Brooke is Britney standing up because she says she's gonna, you know, because she got this. Yeah, I can stand up too. I can stand up too. I can stand up too. And I told you when this sneer go up like that and the people get into it, that's when you know it's about to go down. Whenever you see people getting up, it's about to go down. Okay. I've been telling y'all this for a long time. When you see the people starting to rise, it's all about to go down. All right. Speaking of going down, at this point, Jen again is pulling a Kyle Richards, getting her pocketbook and getting to stepping. Um, oh, oh god, faster than Melody would leave a scene last season. Y'all know I love me some Melody, but Melody was getting gone last season. You know, I sometimes liken these things to Kyle Richards. If you ain't never seen Kyle Richards run out that scene when her sister got into it with Lisa Rinna, you are missing out, baby. You need to go watch that. But anyway, we talking about Brooke and Britney. Okay, so now Brooke is telling Britney that she is drunk and sloppy. Britney tells her, well, you know, I want to talk to your plastic surgeon then. And Brooke tells her that you got flappy tatas and you need a surgeon. All right. Vanessa, meanwhile, is looking shell shocked, like, how is this happening again? So, anyway, Brooke, Britney tells Brooke that girl, I'm all natural. And Brooke tells her, you shaped like a little boy and you a hoe. Okay. You the hoe. Oh. And so at that point, Britney takes her drink or her hose or whatever it was, and she tosses it in Brooke's direction. But security is also in the way, so ain't no way Brooke can get over there to her. Even though she focused on getting her lick back, she can't get no lick. All she can do is stand there. Britney gets escorted out. She's bowing and curtsying and things like that, and saying, "I've done my job for the day. I'm headed home." Again, as I stated, this is the week for splashdowns. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the chatterization down below. And of course, I will catch you all in the next. Oh. By the time you watch this, I don't know if you guys will see this. I don't know what time I'm gonna put this out, but I'm doing Good Day DC tomorrow, like it or not, after Good Day DC tomorrow. So I'll be on Fox 5. I'm recording this Monday night, to be honest with you. So by the time you see this, it'll be Tuesday, which means that if I put this out at 10 a.m., at 11 a.m., I will be on Fox 5. So that's the Stilo. Hopefully you guys can tune in. Otherwise, I will catch you in the next video.